Welcome to another episode of Talking About Records. My name is G.I. Sanders, founder of NTX Vinyl, which is a small independent chain of record shops located just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. We've got shops in Frisco now and Highland Village, where I'm located. I am very excited to be here to talk about my entire U2 collection. But before I dive into it, if you're not already subscribed on YouTube or following on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you may be watching this, please do so. Greatly appreciate it. This is a collection that's very near and dear to my heart. I've been accumulating it for a number of years. I'll talk to you about kind of when I got into U2 and at what point did I really dive into the collecting from a vinyl standpoint. I've got a few 7 inches and box sets, but the vast majority of my collection is 12-inch records, which is primarily what I collect. We're going to start at the very beginning, and I'm going to go pretty much chronologically. They're in a pretty good order. So, of course, we're going to start in 1980 with the album Boy. This was where U2 kicked it all off. I was 2 years old in 1980, so I did not get into this record when it first came out. That came much later. I've got a couple different copies of this one. These are my originals. I believe I've got a German, a UK, and a US of the original cover with the boy on the cover. I've also got the limited edition white vinyl Record Store Day version that came out a number of years ago. And then I've got the kind of alternate cover, which came out in the US a little bit later because they didn't like the young child age shirtless boy. This is a gold stamp promo. Incredible record, obviously kicked off their career. A few of these songs still remain in their set list to this day, like I Will Follow and The Electric Co, Out of Control. Just some absolutely incredible songs. And to me, a very young band, obviously a young record, but it showed tons of potential. And I think it's one that holds up really well. It's got some creative elements on it that I think to this day kind of stuck with the band all the way through. So I love Boy. That's where we'll kick things off. This is a single, U2 Rock. This is Fire, Jay Swallow, and 11 O'Clock TikTok in the Ocean. So this is live from the Paradise Theater in Boston, March of '81 on that Boy tour. You will see a recurring theme, a lot of 12-inch singles from U2, which is one of the reasons I love to collect them. The next record from U2, full length, was October. This came out in, let's see, Boy came out in '80, so I believe this was '82 or '83. There's no year on the back here. This is a U.S. press. Not my favorite U2 record, not most people's favorite U2 record, but it does have some standouts. Gloria, obviously, I Threw a Brick Through a Window, Fire, the title track. There's some Scarlet. There's some great tracks on this one, but not one I listen to a lot, I'll be honest with you. Kind of when U2 started to hit their stride in the early to mid '80s is when they hit War, right? So this is Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, Surrender, the closing track 40, which is still a staple in their live sets to this day. War is what, in a lot of ways, put them on the map, I think, globally. And I think the next, let's see, oh, it's coming up, but let's get to some more singles. So you got Sunday Bloody Sunday, 12-inch single. I've also got a New Year's Day 12-inch single stuck behind there because it's kind of a slim line. So again, lots of singles with remixes, which are cool. I've got, this is actually, before I go to the Unforgettable Fire, let me flip through to, this is the one I'm looking for, Under a Blood Red Sky. So this is the one I think of when I think of War. This is live at Red Rocks. Features an incredible performance of Sunday Bloody Sunday, as well as New Year's Day and 40 and Gloria and all those earlier tunes. So I love that live record. Then you've also got U2 Wide Awake in America, which this is important because it contains the track Bad, which is on the Unforgettable Fire, we're going to look at here in a moment. Just an incredible live performance that I think really harkens back to kind of what they did at Live Aid and when they really blew up internationally. So I love those early live EP records. But let's look at the Unforgettable Fire. Where is it in here? Really incredible record. Obviously, the title track, also Pride in the Name of Love, 4th of July. Obviously, I already talked about Bad. This is the studio version. Really great album that still stands up to this day. I've got a couple different kind of cool singles from this. So here's the Pride single, which I think is really cool with MLK on it. Love that one. And then I've got this Unforgettable Fire single. This has a sort of homecoming, Love Comes Tumbling, and Bass Trap as the B-sides. And then I've got this cool little picture disc, kind of a shaped 45 picture disc, which is really cool. I'm not even sure which tracks are on it because it doesn't really say, but it's a pretty cool little collectible. I'm pretty sure this is from Unforgettable Fire era. It just comes in a clear slip case. Let me slip those back in here. So again, I'll tell you at which point I got into U2, and it's probably going to surprise you because obviously there's a lot of back catalog here. But at this point, I'm still not a big fan in real time. But we'll get there. This is unofficial. U2 treats you live, kind of live bootleg. This is a live show, features stuff from the early days. Out of Control, Two Hearts Beat As One, Second, Sunday Bloody Sunday, Pride. I will follow all these early tracks. Pretty cool. I think this is a double LP. Nice unofficial kind of live thing. And then that takes us right up to the Joshua Tree. So as we go through the Joshua Tree, I've got a bunch of stuff. But first and foremost, I will show off, I've got some 7 inches, which I don't have a ton of 7 inches for U2. I've got, and I'm primarily just showing off the picture sleeve. So I've got In God's Country, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and Streets Have No Name. I love the photography on all those. I have the 12-inch versions of these as well we'll look at. So those are really neat. I've also got, if I'm going to talk Joshua Tree, I do have the big old deluxe box set, which is amazing. Gold foil stamping of the Joshua Tree logo on both sides. This has got, I believe it's got the Live at Paris double LP or triple LP in here, as well as the remastered version of the record and tons of liner notes and photography. So incredible box set version if you're into box sets. And then as far as the LPs are concerned, I've got a number of different versions. I've got 2 different original versions. One of these is sealed. I don't keep a lot of sealed albums, but with something like this, I don't mind having it just because it's one of my favorite records of all time. So I've got kind of a hype sticker on this one, and then I've got the sealed one. Those are both early or U.S. pressings, first U.S. pressings. This is a reissue, I believe 2017, yes, and this is the gold vinyl reissue on 2LP, which is really cool. If you have a chance to track that down, actually, I'll show the gatefold because it's got a really nice gatefold photo, which is cool. Love the Joshua Tree, many different versions. And then I think we'll get into the 12-inch singles. Yeah, so just like the 7-inch version. So here is Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, Streets Have No Name. Again, all photography by Antoine Corbin, their guy who's been their longtime photographer. I love the fact that they themed all of those. It was really cool. The other thing I've got for Joshua Tree is this, the Seeds of Joshua Tree, a live box set, Tempe, Arizona, April 1987. Very famous show that I believe was a lot of the basis for Rattle and Hum, which we'll talk about next. But this is a limited edition 4LP, 180 gram yellow vinyl, number 181 of 200. I don't know how real those numbers are because when it comes down to official stuff, you never really know. But it doesn't make it any less cool, and I'll show you why. So you've got a card that calls that out. You've got a booklet that goes into kind of the story behind the show with some photography, behind the scenes stuff, which is cool. You've got a replica print of them on the Time magazine cover with ticket stubs and kind of VIP passes and all kinds of cool stuff from that tour. And then the records themselves are really, really cool. Come on a translucent yellow, almost like a lemon colored, which, well, there'll be more lemon colored stuff coming up, but love that. 3LP. It's an audience recording, so the sound isn't phenomenal, but it's just a really cool collectible, and I'm glad I was able to add that one to my collection. So can never really have enough Joshua Tree era U2 material at the peak of their powers, I guess you could say, as far as being one of the most popular bands in the States and even in the world. Rattle and Hum is next. Obviously, feature film. I've got a sealed copy of this one and a really nice original copy, the play copy. So love Rattle and Hum. This is, you know, highly debated because of when this came out. The band was huge, obviously, after the Joshua Tree. But I think for me, Angel of Harlem, Desire, and All I Want Is You, the original tracks that appeared on this first are incredible. Still staples in their live show. And then you've got some really cool live versions of Still Haven't Found, of Pride, Bullet the Blue Sky stand out. And then you got some covers, Helter Skelter, All Along the Watchtower. So some really cool stuff on Rattle and Hum, even though I think holistically, when you look at the catalog, not their strongest, but it's a compilation album. It's got some different live B-sides and cover stuff. So I think that's to be expected. And then I've got the counterparts to the 7-inch singles. This is When Love Comes to Town. This is the collaboration with B.B. King. Got a photo of them probably at sound check or maybe during a show. On the back, you've got Angel of Harlem with Adam on the cover. You've got Desire with Larry Mullen on the cover. And then I've got a couple copies of All I Want Is You with Bono on the cover. So again, love the thematic photography throughout all of the Joshua Tree and Rattle and Hum era singles, regardless if it was 12-inch or 7-inch. A lot of cool stuff there. Next up, we're going to get into a new era of U2, and that began when Achtung Baby was released. So Achtung Baby, phenomenal record, very experimental for the band at the time, coming off the Joshua Tree. I think they took a ton of chances on this record. This is, I've got a couple versions of this. This is an original UK pressing, first UK pressing, which I love. I've got a first US pressing as well. And I've also got, I think this is an unofficial version, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is an unofficial version on red translucent, which is pretty cool, collectible. Love Achtung Baby, such a, if you thought what they were doing on Joshua Tree was groundbreaking, and then they just took a complete left turn for Achtung Baby, which is super exciting. So I love that, that era of the band when they just took on a whole new persona. It continued through to Zooropa for sure. So Zooropa was the album that they wrote and recorded while they were on the Zoo TV tour, which was probably like a 3-4 year tour. So they wrote, recorded, and released this right in the middle of it. They're really the only singles from this. Numb was the first single with the Edge on vocals, which was made famous for the video with him standing there and feet all over his face and all kinds of stuff going on around him. So I love that. Stay Far Away So Close is a standout. Probably should have been a huge hit single, but since it was on this album, it didn't really get the time of day it deserved. I think they released Lemon as a single as well, but some great tracks on this. You've got The Wanderer with Johnny Cash. So love Zooropa. That's an original pressing of it. I've also got the reissue, which I believe is on a blue, blue opaque. So this is kind of a blue double LP, which I think is really cool. I have most of the reissues when they put them out on color versions, which I think are cool. All right, so then we get into some more obscure stuff, live and single stuff from that era. This is The Greatest Show on Earth live in Dublin, 1993. This is a really cool live FM broadcast, unofficial bootleg. This is all stuff from the Zoo TV tour, obviously. So even better than The Real Thing, The Fly, Zoo Station, Until the End of the World, Numb. Really great stuff. Love that cover. Can't beat that, right? McFisto. And then we got some singles. This is one of my favorite LPs out of all these. This is a 1 12-inch single made in England. These are pretty hard to come by in the States. You didn't see a lot of these U2 12-inch singles in the States, so most of these I acquired from overseas, whether it was on Discogs or eBay, just kind of tracking them down that way, because you just don't see them that much here. This is one that I really love. I love the buffaloes and the falling over the cliff. Just a really cool visual. Next up, I've got The Fly 12-inch single. This is when we're getting into heavy remix territory for U2. Starting with Achtung Baby really is when they had a lot of pretty much anyone who was a DJ at the time, popular DJ, was getting, they were tapping to remix their songs. Here's Mysterious Ways. I think he's got 4 different versions of Mysterious Ways. Lots of different remixes. We have got Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses? Great track. This has got Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones as a B-side. They were getting into some covers at this time. They just put out so much material with all the extended tracks and B-sides. Really cool. This is even better than The Real Thing. Contains a color Zoo TV street poster. That's pretty cool. This has got Lady with the Spinning Head, Where Did It All Go Wrong, Salome, a lot of B-sides, outtakes. All right, here's Lemon, single off of Zooropa, as I mentioned. This is on the translucent kind of lemon colored vinyl, which is really cool. This is 5 different versions of Lemon on there. I'm gonna really dive in deep to that track. This is a really cool one. This is a fan club only release, I believe. U2 Melon remixes for Propaganda. This contains Salome, Lemon, and 2 different versions of Numb. I believe, again, this is 1995. I think it was a fan club only. It took me a while to track this one down. It's got some writing on it. It was a DJ copy, I'm sure. Pretty cool collectible. Here is an unofficial U2 Zoo Stars. This is live in Stockholm, June 11th, 1992. Really cool live set, double LP. Love the photo cover art on that one from that era. All right, and then I think this would come next chronologically. This is kind of a unique one. Passengers, original soundtracks, #1. This was a U2 album that never came out under the name U2. It actually does say, you know, who Passengers is right here on this little sticker, which is Brian Eno, their longtime producer, U2, Pavarotti, Howie B, and Holly, so producers and remixers. This is a pretty under-the-radar U2 release. Standout tracks would be Your Blue Room, a song that they actually performed live a handful of times within the last probably decade. And then it also contains Miss Sarajevo, which was a standout track, which they played a lot during the Vertigo tour, and has popped up on other tours as well. But really unique, really experimental. If you like Zooropa, if you like Achtung Baby era U2, this is a pretty cool one to track down. I'm not sure if it's available streaming or not. Pretty rare vinyl to track down. I don't think it's ever been reissued. So definitely one to chase down if you're into that era of U2. So continuing after Zooropa, that's when you get into Pop, which in my opinion is a very underrated U2 record. They, again, Pop comes out, you got to keep in mind, 1997, if you think about what's going on that time in popular music, they were continuing to take chances, continuing to do their own thing, think outside the box as it pertained to this tour and this album and everything around it. So this is a original U.S. pressing of Pop. I've also got the colored reissue. This is a limited edition orange vinyl. I believe it's an opaque orange. They did all the reissues on opaque versus translucent. If I can get out of there, I kept this one in the shrink since I already have another copy. So there's the double LP on orange vinyl. And then you can get into all of the remixes around Pop, which there was plenty. First and foremost is this pretty cool 12-inch remixes of Mofo. This has got, I think, 4 different versions. Love the different colors on the sets. This is remixes by Ronnie Size and Roman. So, all right, so additional Pop-related remixes. What do we have here? We've got Discotheque. I think this is a 2 or 3 LP, all black vinyl. And in fact, let me open it up because I think this has got some pretty cool, the sleeves are all different colors. Yeah, it's 3 different 12-inch singles, different colors. So they really, you know, U2 doesn't skimp when it comes to the DJ stuff because they were into that at the time, and rightfully so for what Pop and, you know, Zooropa were sounding like. Here is the standalone Discotheque single. That's got 4 different versions, a lot of different remixes. Here we've got Staring at the Sun, which was, at the time, this has got 2 different versions, or 3 different versions of Staring at the Sun. This was going to be the big single off of Pop that they were really banking on. It didn't hit radio play wise, like, meaning it did fine, but as far as U2 standards were concerned, didn't do what they had hoped. And I think that was just time and place because it's a phenomenal song. I've got a second copy of that one. I love the artwork. But, you know, 1997, that was not the time for U2 as far as, you know, radio play and exposure and all that stuff. They were still killing it from a touring standpoint. The Pop Mart tour was huge. But, you know, they were going through a rough period in the mainstream, I guess you could say. This is Last Night on Earth, really underrated track on Pop. This is a cool single because it's got 2 different versions of Happiness is a Warm Gun, which is one of my favorite Beatles tracks. Great John Lennon tune from the White Album. So some pretty cool covers. And then you get into All That You Can't Leave Behind, a very cool record. This is an original U.S. press from 2000, double LP. This is what kicked off the Elevation tour, which was kind of a, I guess you could say, a return to form to kind of purist U2 fans who were more appreciative of the War, Unforgettable Fire, Joshua Tree era. So they kind of put the more experimental era stuff of Achtung and Zooropa and Pop to bed. Came back with All That You Can't Leave Behind. Some incredible singles from that album, including Elevation. This is a 12-inch single with a couple different remix versions. You've got, this is Elevation and Beautiful Day remixes, which has got 4 different versions of Elevation, 3 different versions of Beautiful Day. So just, again, a ton of remixes. There's also a beautiful, standalone Beautiful Day single, 12-inch single, which I've never been able to come across. It's still on my list, hard to find. Again, most of the UK singles, or the import singles, are just tough to come by. Because they're all overseas, and there weren't that many of them made, and if they were used up by DJs for the most part. So that takes us to 2004, and I think this is 2004. Yeah, 2004. How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. Believe it or not, this is the one that got me into U2. And I know that sounds really strange because of everything we've gone through already, and of course I knew of U2 all along. You couldn't avoid them throughout the mid to late 80s into the early 90s. They were everywhere. And of course I knew the singles, and I never disliked it. It was just not my cup of tea, and it wasn't something I was choosing to really go deep on. But when I heard Vertigo, I thought, that's pretty cool. Those guys have been around a long time, and that's a pretty driving song. And so I gave it a shot, and it was side A, not necessarily Vertigo, but it was side A with Miracle Drug, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own, City of Blinding Lights, and then going into Crumbs from Your Table, Original of the Species, Yahweh, just A Man and a Woman. So many good album tracks on this one. If you take the singles off, Vertigo, City of Blinding Lights, and All Because of You, I think those are probably the weakest songs on this album. So this is what prompted me to do the deep dive. It prompted me to check them out live, and then at that point, the whole thing, it was game, set, match at that point, because once you see U2 live, I think that's when you truly understand the experience of what that band means. And so I was able to see them on the Vertigo tour a number of times: Dallas, Houston, Madison Square Garden in New York, twice. Followed them to Hawaii and saw the last show of the Vertigo tour with Pearl Jam opening. It was phenomenal. That's when it really clicked for me. This is the red vinyl version of it. Again, I mentioned I've got the colored versions of most of these. So here's the red opaque version, double OP of Atomic Bomb. Love this record. It has some cool singles as well. Here is the Vertigo single, more remixes, of course, by Jackknife Lee. You've got the City of Blinding Lights single. This is a really cool one. This has got two different versions of City of Blinding Lights and a remix of All Because of You. I like the cover. Really harkens back to the stage setup of that whole Vertigo tour. So I was a huge fan at that point, and I already mentioned, saw the band several times during that period of probably 4 or 5 years. And then came No Line on the Horizon, which I was obviously very excited about because it's the first new record during a period of, when I had my newfound fandom for U2. This kicked off the 360 tour, which I followed all over the place, which was amazing. This is an underrated record in my opinion. I think it gets a bad rap because of the lead single, Get On Your Boots, which is, again, not the strongest. But if you look at tracks like Moment of Surrender and the title track, Magnificent, I think Breathe is a really strong track. So I think there's some great stuff on this record. This is an original pressing. I don't have the colored version of this one. I think it's a clear version. But I think most importantly is the 360 tour. So the 360 tour, this is a 12-inch single for I'll Go Crazy If I Don't Go Crazy Tonight. Saw this tour in Dallas, in Oklahoma City, in Nashville, in New York, in Milan, in Paris. I feel like I'm missing one or two, but just phenomenal. I also saw them perform this song on David Letterman, which was incredible. They were doing a week-long stand there when I happened to be in New York, believe it or not, and got to see it live on Letterman's soundstage, which was amazing. Loved that tour. Next up, we got a couple of best ofs. This is the best of 90 to 2000. Most notably on this one is the song Electrical Storm, which is great to have that on vinyl, a B-side from the All That You Can't Leave Behind era, I believe. Some really great tracks on this. A couple of remixes too. This has remixes, or new mixes, I should say, of a couple pop tracks of Gone and of Discotheque. It's also got the Hands That Built America on here, a different version of that one. So great compilation. I actually don't have the gold version with the boy with the helmet, which is 80 to 90. I still need to pick up that one. So the other best of, this came out right after Atomic Bomb. This is U2 18 singles. Another really nice best of compilation. Notably on here is The Saints Are Coming, which was the U2 and Green Day compilation that they performed just after performed that at the Superdome just after Katrina hit, the reopening of the Superdome. It also contains the Window in the Skies single, which was I think only on this version. There's a single version, and the only vinyl version I believe is on this U2 18. They performed that only during that 360 tour, I believe. Vertigo tour, sorry. All right, so then you've got Artificial Horizon. So this is the companion piece with remixes to No Line on the Horizon. This was a fan club only release, 3 LP on translucent purple vinyl, I believe. Let me see if I can, yeah, this has got some really cool artwork across the board. If I can pour this one out. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. It's a really dark purple, but it's really cool. And so U2 has always done really done great stuff for the fans in regards to the fan club releases. They've done a lot of vinyl in recent years. They've done some CD stuff as well, but there's always something cool. It's usually once a year. They always do stuff, fan club releases, and also record store day releases, which we're about to get into, because it usually takes them, they're that type of band where they'll put out a new record every 4 or 5 years or whatever, and they supplement along the way with a lot of other releases. So all right, going into the next, this is Songs of Innocence with Larry Mullen and his son on the cover. This was the infamous iTunes album where they dropped it on everyone's iTunes without anyone asking for it or knowing, and they got a lot of flack for that. Kind of a sleeper. I love a few songs on this record, specifically Every Breaking Wave, Song for Someone. Iris was really great live. This was an incredible tour. Just when you thought they couldn't do anything more interesting or innovative than the 360 tour. If you saw the Songs of Innocence or Songs of Experience tour, it was just an amazing technological production. It was just a feast for the eyes and the ears. It was amazing. I saw it. We saw that at Madison Square Garden a couple nights as well. And then here's the companion piece. This is Songs of Experience, second record with, I believe, with the Edge's Children on here. Some standouts on this one too. I think Get Out of Your Own Way is a pretty great single. I like Red Flag Day. The Blackout's pretty cool. There's some cool tracks on this too. Again, not one I listen to a ton. It's also got a cool version of Ordinary Love, which was a single they put out. I think I've got that one next. Yeah, so this is the, I think this was a record store day. I could be wrong about that, but this came out in 2013, a single they put out. It's got a B-side, an alternate version of the song Breathe off of No Line on the Horizon. Great. Ordinary Love is a great U2 song if you haven't, not familiar with that one. All right, so here's a bunch, and I think we'll finish up with a bunch of the record store day stuff. So this is the Zooropa EP. This contains Love Is All We Have Left and New Year's Day, a couple different versions of those. This came out, this is a 2019 record store day release, I believe. Then we've got a Lights of Home remixes, record store day release, picture disc, which is kind of cool. What do we have here? This is, all right, this is the fan club release, double 10-inch live at the Marquee in London in 1980. Pretty cool double 10-inch fan club release. Not sold anywhere else, I don't believe. A lot of stuff early live from Boy. Out of Control, such a great song. The Electric Co, I Will Follow, The Ocean. So really good early U2 on that one, which is cool. This is Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. Remixes, again, another record store day release. This is 2018. Obviously, Zoo TV era, Achtung Baby era U2, which is cool. Remixes. Here is a record store day release that was really cool. This is their first ever release. Now, if you have the original version of it, highly sought after, highly valued. I do not own an original copy, but it was called U2 3 because this is their first ever EP, I guess you could call it, with 3 songs: Out of Control, Stories for Boys, and Boy Girl. This is the 40th anniversary edition. Again, this is limited to 17,000. I would beg to bet that the original version of this, which is very hard to find, was much more limited than that because no one knew who they were when that was originally put out to market to help the band. So let's see. We have U2 11 O'Clock TikTok. This is I think a 2020. So yeah, 2020 record store day release. And then last but not least, we have the U2 Fire picture disc record store day release that came out just recently. This is a 2021. The only thing I forgot to show was I forgot to show my box set for All That You Can't Leave Behind, which is really cool. I forgot that was sitting over there when I got to that period. This one is the last box set they put out. Most importantly to me in this one, it's got all of the singles, including that Beautiful Day single that I don't have the original of, and it's got the U2 Elevation Live from Boston show, which was the show they captured on DVD for that tour, which was phenomenal. And one of the I think early turning points for me when I was really getting into the band during that Atomic Bomb era, going back to one album prior with All That You Can't Leave Behind, and seeing that live DVD of Boston was a game changer, and one of the things that made me really decide that I've got to get to some shows. And then from there was all downhill from there as far as becoming a U2 fanatic. So that's my collection. It has taken me a good 15-ish years to accumulate all of these. There's plenty of missing pieces. Let me know when I'm missing if you're a big collector and you're a big fan, specifically for 12-inch vinyl. I know there's some more, obviously a plethora of CDs when you get into CD singles or remixes, but as far as 12-inch vinyl, I think I've got a vast majority of what they've put out, but I'm sure there are anomalies and more kind of singles and EPs and remix stuff, because that's a lot of what makes it fun to collect U2, is they put out so much more than just the standard 12-inch 33 1/3 full-length albums, right? So if you're a U2 fan, hopefully this was fun to look at. Again, let me know when I'm missing. If you're not a U2 fan and you've made it this far, well, God bless you. I don't know why you watched this far, but you must really be into records, which is cool. The channel is growing, and I'm glad a lot of people are watching. And hopefully, this is one that some people appreciate, especially as much as I do. A band like U2, where I've got so much love for what they do, and I'm just happy they're still writing and recording music, and hopefully playing again live. So, thanks again. My name is G.I. Sanders. This has been Talking About Records. We will talk to you again next time, and I'll have to choose another band, go through a different catalog, a different collection. Maybe you could do that. Drop me a line. Let me know who else you want to see in my collection that I might have a lot of. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you guys soon.